I want to close with the stewardship thing, because I think that's something that people know you for, and obviously is so important. And Julie and I have been wrestling with this as the Lord has blessed us in our football career financially in ways that have gone far beyond we ever thought possible. And so we've been wrestling with this, reading your material and just trying to get
Kirk,
understanding.
if you combine my salary and yours, that's a lot of money. Between the two of us.
So in stewarding that a lot of money that you and I both combined or have to steward, can you kind of talk about, just kind of broad strokes, what the Bible has to say about finding fulfillment, joy, and the abundant life through generosity, kind of on that happiness topic?
One of the first things that comes to mind for me is Acts chapter 20, verse 35. It's a unique verse. It's the only verse in the book of Acts that's attributed to Jesus that is not spoken in the Gospels. It's almost like God wanted to get one more word in from Jesus that you don't find in the Gospel narratives. And it's where it says that Jesus said, it is more happy-making to give than to receive. Now, because you might go, well, what doesn't it say it's more blessed to give than to receive? Yes, but that word is the Greek word makarios, and you look it up in any Greek English dictionary, that word means happy. In that particular case, it means happy making. In other words, to give to other people will make you happier than to receive. And now that is an amazing promise of Scripture. And the joy that there is in that, and one passage that comes to mind is in 2 Corinthians 8, where it says, "And now, brothers, we want you to know about the grace that God has given the Macedonian churches. Out of the most severe trial, their overflowing joy and their extreme poverty welled up in rich generosity." Well, that's a staggering statement. They're in a severe trial, and yet they overflow with joy in the midst of their extreme poverty, which wells up in rich generosity. So happiness is not just something that makes wealthy people happy. It is something that makes poor people happy. And some of you have been in, how many of you have ever been overseas in a missions context, either visiting or serving or a short-term missions trip, whatever it is? Every time we have experienced this, there's poor people who are sacrificing to fix the best meal they can possibly fix for you. And at first it was just the idea of it just struck me as, oh, we shouldn't even receive this. And oh, no. Be a gracious receiver and just realize that these people are delighted to do this. They're finding joy and pleasure in doing this. So you can't say enough about how happy God is in his heart to give. God is by nature a giver. This passage in 2 Corinthians 8 and 9, probably the strongest passage on giving in all of Scripture. God's grace is like lightning that strikes our lives, and then the thunder in response to his grace is our giving. God is a giver. We become like him when we give back. But it starts with his grace at work in our lives, resulting in our giving back to him. And what happens? He gives us all the more grace. We give all the more back to him and for the good of other people. And it's a cycle of joy that is centered around giving.
That's great.